Today on Mother Mayhem.
I love this story for the full circle moment it offered me, but also I just felt all of it so profoundly, how this is everywhere, that so many daughters are managing life with emotionally limited and emotionally manipulated mothers. Welcome back to Mother Mayhem, the podcast for daughters of narcissistic and emotionally limited mothers. I'm your host, Heather Gray, and today it's just you and me. I have a bit of a story that I've actually been dying to tell all of you, and it happened right when I decided to take a break from publishing new episodes. So I have been sitting on this story for a couple of weeks now, and I haven't stopped thinking about it. Honestly, I think it's because it highlights a couple of things. First, the whole mother wound thing. It is everywhere. And we've been doing this show for close to 2 years now. And I still think I'm surprised by just how common all of this is. I say it every week. You're in this community of women around the world. But seriously, not just around the world, on your same street, in your same town, at your same gym. And in my story for you today, same coffee shop. And I'm not sure where this conversation is going to take us today, but to be honest, I just wanted to tell you the story. And it, of course, made me think of all of you. So we're going to figure out what comes next together and where this conversation finds us. Here goes. First, in order for this to make sense and for you to feel just how magical all of it is, I need to back up a little bit. You probably heard me say on the show before that I moved from Boston to California at the very end of 2017. And in my first couple of weeks here, I was doing what I do. I was scoping out all of the cafes and the coffee shops. I was hoping to find my most perfect work from home coffee shop. Fun fact, turns out that's actually my house, but I digress. This part of the story isn't going to surprise any of you. It is such a Heather story. It was early into my time in California, and I walked into this cafe, and it was just super cute. If you can imagine what you would say a stereotypical Southern Californian coffee shop might look like, you would probably be right about this one. I walked in, and at every table, there were girlfriends chatting. Every table. At least that is the story that I was telling myself when I was looking around. It was a total girlfriend cafe. And right there in line to order, I just burst into tears. Seriously, again, nobody's surprised. My eyes just started leaking. The poor barista. She just looked up so confused, poor thing, and asked if I was okay. And I said yes. And then, of course, I did what we women do when we're crying, right? I apologized. Then I explained, I'm fine. It's just that I moved from Boston. I walked in and could see you're a girlfriend cafe, and all of my girlfriends are 3,000 miles away right now. She said, I get it, took my order, and I sat down. When she came to my table, she had a brownie that I didn't order and said to me, this seems to be a situation that calls for some chocolate. And to this day, this one moment in time has been one of my all-time favorite California stories. And I didn't think it could get better, but it does. So fast forward all these years later, and here I am at the same cafe with some girlfriends of my own now, and behind us are two women, and we hear them chatting, but we can't hear the specifics until an older one says, I just don't understand why we don't have a better relationship. Instantly, my friends and I are all ears because, of course, we are. Then we hear the other woman respond, Mom. Of course, right? None of us are surprised by what we're all hearing right now. All of you are in this moment with me now. Mom, I invited you here to lunch. I called you to make plans because I wanted to spend time with you. This is me wanting to be in relationship with you. Of course, immediately my friends are like pointing at me and laughing because it is a total thing that happens to me. This shit, this kind of stuff, well, it just follows me everywhere. It is like a magnet wherever I go. The mom, of surprise to no one here, says, Don't pull that with me. I know you were guilted into coming. I have been calling and calling, and you have been putting me off and off. I didn't realize I was such an obligation. The daughter just stayed calm. And my friend joked that she must listen to the podcast. She said to her mom, I know you've been sad, but I'm here now. And instead of talking about our relationship, I would rather just talk. You haven't asked about the kids. How about I tell you what they've been up to, and then you can tell me what you and dad have been up to? The mother, of course, started crying, full on crying. Yeah, put me to shame, honestly. I just leaked a little bit in that first story. This mom just started crying. And this place is small. Everyone is noticing the awkwardness at this point, and the daughter says, Mom, maybe we should just leave. To which, of course, the mother says, Wouldn't you like that? Getting away with a short visit and then just checking me off your list. Yes, let's just be done. And the mother leaves the table and goes to the restroom. Quickly, you guys see where this is going, right? I go to the counter. The daughter starts quietly crying at the table, and my friends pass her a tissue. And of course, I go to her table with a brownie, and I say, You tried your best. I think this is a situation that just calls for some chocolate. And we had a good little laugh together before the mom walked out and the daughter followed her. And of course, you know me enough to know that I love this story for the full circle moment it offered me. But also, I just felt all of it so profoundly, how this is everywhere, that so many daughters are managing life with emotionally limited and emotionally manipulated mothers. You're all just muddling through and doing your best. And so many daughters are trying to be in relationship when all their mothers want to do is talk about the relationship because they're actually incapable of being in relationship. The dynamic I saw in the cafe, it's what so many of you are living through right now. You're trying, you're showing up, you're putting in the effort, and that emotional work never gets reciprocated. The guilt, the manipulation, the stonewalling, it's all this heartbreaking pattern that all of you are facing. And for so many of you, it's in complete silence. Now, the daughter in this story trying to engage, trying to find common ground, trying to have a normal conversation, well, her mother couldn't even meet her halfway emotionally. And that is just so familiar. And of course, it doesn't surprise any of us here at Mayhem. But what moved me and what I felt really profoundly is that the daughter didn't fall for it. She didn't let the guilt or the manipulation make her feel responsible for fixing what was happening. She set a boundary. She didn't try to make her mom feel better at the expense of her own peace. She just tried to stay in the moment, to keep it light, and to take care of herself, even as her mom was playing every predictable card in the book. And that right there, that is the kind of shift I try every week to encourage all of you daughters to work on making for yourselves. You've heard me say it so many times. You heard me remind Joe of this last week. There's no simple script, no way of acting that can get you to prevent an emotionally limited mom from acting emotionally limited. And any response you think of or anything you try cannot be about fixing your moms or about changing their story of you. It is always going to come down to learning how to heal yourselves in a way that works for you and in a way that feels healthy for you. And it isn't easy, it's exhausting, and it takes time. And yes, sometimes it takes brownies and a tissue to feel like you are doing the right thing. But you are. You are doing the right thing. You are learning to take care of your emotional needs, how to set boundaries that honor your peace over the chaos that your moms create. And all of you are doing it one day at a time, just like that daughter in the cafe who kept showing up despite all of the emotional bullshit her mom was throwing at her. And I want to encourage you guys today to think about your own path to healing, to ask yourselves, where are you still engaging in these patterns of guilt and emotional obligation? Where can you give yourselves permission to step away from the guilt and just take care of your own needs today, one moment at a time? And it's okay if you're still figuring it out. It's okay if you feel like you're not getting it right on some days. This journey isn't about perfection, it's about progress. But more importantly, above all, it is about self compassion. And maybe this story resonates with you because you had that same moment in another cafe or at another family gathering where emotional manipulation from your mom was clear as day. And still, that dysregulation that follows you, even when you know what's going on, can feel overwhelming. Even when you see all the pieces and you can name the manipulation for what it is. And it's tough because we know this. We've said it on the show over and over again. Trauma wires you for protection and isolation, and you end up internalizing the messages that you're difficult, sensitive, too emotional, or you're constantly criticized because you're never doing enough, saying enough, being enough. But this right here is why I want so badly for all of you to find healing. I love that you all feel seen, heard, and validated by this show. And I'm always going to be proud of Mayhem for that. But being seen, heard, and validated is only one part of this. It is, of course, something I want for you, but I want so much more for you too. I want you all to find healing, to use the power that comes from feeling seen, heard, validated, so that you can begin to heal, because it is healing that wires you for connection. And it is in that connection, that mutual understanding, that you can start to reclaim your voice, your space, and your worth. At any given moment, you could be sitting at a cafe, just like that daughter, trying your best to manage a conversation with your mother who can't seem to meet you halfway emotionally. It might seem small, but it's not. For a lot of you, moments like that are going to be just the tip of the iceberg, tip of the daily struggle to set boundaries, to navigate the guilt and the shame, to feel seen and heard inside of these relationships with your mom. But that only traps you into feeling and thinking you're invisible. So, After witnessing that conversation at the cafe, I couldn't help but reflect on how this dynamic is so common for all of you. Daughters of narcissistic or emotionally limited parents often find yourselves stuck in that cycle of guilt, manipulation, questioning, and all of you here at Mayhem know this and you felt it. That conversation between that mom and that daughter was not just a one off thing, and it is a reality that all of you face regularly. You might recognize some of this pattern. Your mother guilt tripping you for not reaching out, for not giving you what she wants emotionally. But let's break it down because it's not just about feeling bad for not meeting her or, quite frankly, anyone else's expectations. This is emotional manipulation, and it is a total tactic that narcissistic and emotionally limited parents use to shift the responsibility for their feelings onto their kids. They create this dynamic of obligation and expectation rather than relationship, where their emotional needs become the total focus and responsibility of the daughter. This kind of manipulation, you've seen it, you hear it on the show all the time. It messes with your head. Your body and your mind become conditioned to react with guilt and self doubt. And you know that what your mother is doing is unfair, but trauma brain, it kicks in and you feel responsible for fixing things, for smoothing over the tension. And you can feel, like I said, walking on eggshells, never knowing where this emotional shift is going to happen or how much of yourself you are going to be asked to lose of yourself in the process. So let's just pause this a little bit and let's spend a little bit of time thinking about how you can navigate these situations, especially when it's emotional manipulation that's starting to creep in. What can you say if you are in a moment like the one that I witnessed at the cafe, where the guilt starts piling up and your mom's emotions begin to take center stage? Here are a couple of things you can think about trying and how you might be able to protect your peace. If your mom says something like, I didn't realize I was such an obligation to you, you can respond with something like, I'm not trying to hurt you, but I can't be responsible for your emotions. I'm doing what's best for me right now. If she starts crying and it feels like she's trying to pull you into something that's emotionally intense, you might say something like, I hear that you're upset, but I can't take on that emotional responsibility right now. I'm here for the good parts of our relationship, but I cannot carry the weight of everything for both of us. These phrases are going to help you maintain your boundaries without you feeling like you have to take on the emotional labor that isn't yours and that you didn't sign up for. It is helping you, I hope, here as you think about this, to prioritize your peace and honor your own emotional space, even if thinking about doing that starts to feel uncomfortable at first. And then we have the guilt and shame dynamic that all of you have heard me talking about in this conversation and other episodes on the show with other daughters. When we talk about guilt, we're really talking about a feeling that you did something wrong. Guilt can be a helpful emotion when it's guiding us to do better or to right a wrong. But shame tells you you're a bad person. It convinces you that you, as a whole, are defective, not worthy of love, or that you don't deserve to take up space. Narcissistic mothers are experts at cultivating this kind of shame in their children. You were never taught how to validate your own feelings. In fact, you were likely taught to question or dismiss your own thoughts and emotions. And when you start to set boundaries and push back, your nervous system doesn't know what to do. You might even start second guessing yourself, wondering if you're being too harsh, too emotional, or not loving enough. This is exactly why healing is so challenging, because your trauma brain tries to protect you, but the way it does often means further self doubt and emotional turmoil. That's why it's so important to begin retraining your nervous system to see the difference between healthy boundaries and emotional manipulation. Wise mind is the part of you that knows what's best for you, even if trauma brain tries to cloud your judgment. With time, you're going to be able to recognize those manipulative tactics more quickly and respond from a place of strength rather than guilt. Then it is time to start taking healthy action and setting the boundaries. I want you to take a minute to think about your relationship with your parents or loved ones. Think about the moments when you feel guilty or responsible for their feelings. How often are you put in a position to manage their needs at the expense of your own? What would it look like if instead of falling for that same old dynamic, you took one small action today to protect your peace? Here's where you can start. You can try saying no to guilt. You don't have to explain your boundaries. You don't have to over apologize. You are allowed to set limits without guilt. You can acknowledge your feelings when you're feeling manipulated or upset. You can write them down if you need to. I just heard someone the other day use the phrase, name it to tame it. And I find myself stealing that one. So, daughters, name it. Name your feelings. Name what's happening in your body so you can begin to tame it. Practice self compassion. Remind yourself that healing is always going to be a process and you can't rush it. You take it one day at a time. Everything we are talking about here in this moment is exactly why I have expanded Mayhem beyond the podcast. This right here is why I've worked so hard to build the ecosystem of Mayhem Daughters. We know how isolating moments like that in the cafe can feel for all of you. When you just need someone to say, I see you, that makes sense, and give you the space to breathe and unload without judgment. And we also know that a conversation like the one I just shared is often the beginning of a deeper story. Many of you are hearing that story and saying yes, and because you know the experiences you hold are more complicated and more painful than what was shared in that cafe story. So, I want to extend an invitation to you. What would it be like if, after that uncomfortable, painful moment at the cafe, you could go back to your car or your home and post about it in Mayhem Daughters, our private online community? What if you could bring that moment to Tuesday group or Thursday group, a place where other daughters get it, where they understand the weight of your experience, and where you can share without judgment? Since starting Mayhem, I have been working hard to create an environment where daughters can find each other, connect, and heal together. Because we know that so many of you listening to this show feel isolated. And we also know how important it is to know that you're not alone. These moments can feel small, but over time they add up to a lifetime of damage. And that is why community support can be such a game changer in the healing process. And community support isn't going to be for everyone. Some of you may already have a strong support system in your personal life, or perhaps the idea of a group feels too overwhelming or too dysregulating. And of course, that's okay. But for those of you who feel like this is your space, who want to engage with other daughters who truly understand, Mayhem Daughters is here for you, whether it's in the community or our weekly therapy groups. You're welcome to join. The doors are always open, and your healing doesn't have to be done alone. We're here for you, and we're here with you every step of the way. All of you are in this community of women around the world who are healing and recovering together. And I, for sure, most definitely, am in it with you too. Bye for now. I do hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If you have a question you'd like me to consider for the show, please do email me over at heather@daughtersnpd.com. You are always welcome to share your story or questions by recording yourself using the voice app on your phone. For best recording quality, please do record directly into your phone without using headphones or Bluetooth speakers. We're building an incredible community as well over on Instagram, and I'd love to see you over there too. You can find us at Daughters NPD. Lastly, if you love what you've been hearing here on Mayhem and have found the show helpful in your own trauma recovery, please do consider becoming a Mother Mayhem sponsor by purchasing simple scripts for saying hard things. It's a resource I created that provides the right words for the hard conversations, and it covers life, love, and work. You'll find a link for that in the show notes. If you know another woman who needs this conversation in her life, please do share the show with her. Your reviews and social shares help spread the word, and I hope you'll consider doing so. Special thanks to Heather Clark for editing the show. She's in my head and knows what I meant to say when the words come out backwards. Thanks so much for your time today. As always, I'm in it with you. Bye for now.